If you've watched Destination X tonight, yes, you might have saw myself and Non-Legit Wrestling. We were sitting in the 5th row. We had a great view, we had great seats. And you might have seen this sign that I had with me at the show. You might have seen it during the Austin Aries match versus Bobby Lashley for the TNA World title. This is the sign. Aries for World title. And I know World title is put together, but I know it's a 2-letter word. Alright, this will be your TNA Destination X 2014 review. Overall, tonight's Destination X was a very good show by TNA. It was from the Manhattan Center at the Grand Ballroom in New York City. And once again, it was a very good, enjoyable show. It opened up with Team Dixie, Dixie Carter, EC3, Rockstar Spud, Rhino, Gene Snitsky, and Ezekiel Jackson. They're all in the ring. And they talk about what happened last week when they took out Tommy Dreamer and Team 3D. And obviously, Dixie Carter talking about how, how it's funny how you cheered for all these guys, but they all left for a big company to make big money. And the crowd, whenever Dixie Carter was talking, completely just shut her up with boos, telling her to shut the fuck up. It was crazy because, again, I was there. And when I was there, it was even more loud. And I thought, because of all that, they would have edited it out. And they didn't. So I commend TNA's production for not editing that part out, if you will. And then EC3 says, if you know what, we can do one more final battle for all the marbles, if you will. So pretty much hinting a future match in the future, if you will. And then you had the Hardy Boys versus the Wolves, the TNA tag titles. In my opinion, this was the match of the night. Alright, it was an amazing tag team match. Let's put it this way. If you are not a fan of this match, then in my opinion, you are not a wrestling fan, period. It went balls to the wall. Back and forth sequences. The crowd was hot for this from the opening bell till the end. And either team could have won here, let's be honest. Even though I was there live as well, it was also more amazing live. But it felt like that, it could have gone either way. And the Wolves retained. At the end of the match, there was, a pretty much a symbol of respect, if you will, between both the Hardys and the Wolves. They both shook hands. And again, a symbol of respect. Something good to see there. And it was awesome. But once again, this, in my opinion, was the match of the night. And then you had the first qualifying match for the X Division title match, pretty much. You had 3 qualifying matches, 3 triple threat matches, if you will, and the winner of each series would go on to face in a triple threat match for the X Division title next week. Do I agree with that concept? No, and I'll get to that later on in this video. So the first qualifying match, you had DJZ versus Manic versus Low-Key. And this was a good match, a lot of good offensive maneuvers by all 3 guys, and obviously at the end, Loki got the win. He advanced into the next phase, if you will. And then you had James Storm come out. He talks about how Sonata turned on the Great Muta, and he claimed to be a legend, and the crowd was booing him, obviously. I'll say this, to me, James Storm right now is a good heel. I'm impressed. I think, if you give Samoa Joe the strap, the world title, I think he could do a good program with James Storm being the heel. In my opinion, of course. Alright, but pretty much promoting Sonata, how Sonata now obeys him. And then we had the next qualifying match. You had Sonata versus Brian Cage versus Crazy Steve. And this was an okay match. Then it go along. The crowd was into this too. And Sonata got the win. And then you had a backstage segment with Austin Aries and Bobby Roode. And they're talking about, how 2 years ago, Austin Aries used option C to beat Bobby Roode. And Bobby Roode admitted, you know what? It wasn't a fluke. You were the better man back in the day. And tonight, you're going to go and face Bobby Lashley. And you're going to beat him. So tonight, go out there, beat Bobby Lashley for what himself, MVP, has done to Austin Aries, to Bobby Roode and Eric Young. And just bring back the strap, pretty much. And then Austin Aries like, it's cool that you said that because now, in the future, once I win this title, you and I can have a match for the world title. So it was a good segment, if you will. And then you had Team 3D and Tommy Dreamer. They come out and they talk about last week. How they feel like, EC3 is delusional and they want to have a war. If they want to start a war, they'll do it and they'll also end this war. And they call out, Team Dixie, if you will. And then you have EC3, Rockstar Spud, Ezekiel Jackson, and Snitsky come out. And they're in the ramp area and they say, you know what? We can do this war. But next week. So next week we're going to see Team Bully Ray versus Team EC3, and they all go out war, pretty much. So there you go. A good way to promote next week's match. One thing I'll say also, it wasn't the final segment which was a good thing also. Then you had Samoa Joe versus Tigre Uno versus Homicide. This was a good match. It didn't go long. The crowd was hot for Samoa Joe and Homicide, obviously. And again, this match served its purpose to have Samoa Joe win. So next week, you'll have Samoa Joe, Sonata, Low Key facing off, and the winner becomes the new X Division champion. Here's my thoughts on this, alright? It's Destination X. And because Destination X, you would assume that on this pay-per-view, we'll see who was the X Division champion face the world champion for the world title. And you would assume that also we're going to see a new X Division champion. I felt like that match, Samoa Joe, Sonata, Low Key, should have happened on this episode of Impact, part of Destination X, if you ask me. Even that, like, earlier in the show, there's a face-off between Low Key and Samoa Joe, implying that, hey, there might be a future program with that. But personally, I feel like this should have happened tonight, not next week. Because it takes away the whole concept of Destination X also, being that Destination X, once again, is all about the X Division. And then you had the main event, Lashley versus Austin Aries for the world title, the TNA world title. And I thought this match was a very good world title match. It went back and forth. The crowd was into it. Lashley tried to go for a spear in this match, and Austin Aries countered and hit the last chancery, which after that, he went for the brain buster, and he got a near fall. The crowd thought that Austin Aries finally won, myself included. Obviously, I bought that sign like I showed you earlier in this video. And at the end of it, Lashley's outside the ring, and Austin Aries runs, does like a suicide dive from the bottom rope, and he hits the security guard rail. Lashley brings him into the ring, and then spears him for the 1, 2, 3. And your winner, and still TNA World Champion, Bobby Lashley. Overall, Destination X was a very good show. Now, here is the rant, if you will. So at the end of the show, they play a video package promoting next week's show. Do I agree with it? No. And normally they've done this weekly by week, promoting next week's show. They grab clips of next week's show and they give you hints of what's going to happen. In this case, they grabbed Dixie Carter, Bully Ray. For months, they've been promoting that, Dixie Carter going to go through a table. And they've been saying it, for 4 months, Bully Ray has tried to put it through a table. He can never do it. And they play a video of Team 3D grabbing Dixie Carter, where Devon carries her into Bully Ray's shoulder. You see Dixie Carter sitting there on Bully Ray's face, about to get put through a table. Pretty much, you're spoiling that Dixie Carter's going through a table, even though we all knew that. Even though, yes, the spoilers have been out for months. You just don't do that. You don't spoil a program or an angle that you've been building up for months and months and months like that. And you wonder why sometimes TNA gets criticized for what they do. Listen, I thought Destination X was a very good show. Don't get me wrong. But I just do not agree with the way they've done that little final tape at the end of the show. And again, it takes away the whole thrill, if you will, of watching Dixie going through a table finally. Yes, Dixie going through a table, and it's the end of the Dixie Carter character, but it's not the way you do it, you know what I mean? It's my thoughts overall. Let me know your thoughts on Destination X down below in the comment section of this video. Share us on all your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all later next video. I'm out. Peace.